Hi, friends. Today we are going to look at the chart of a very big spiritual giant, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, and then we are going to compare it with the chart of our favorite spiritual giant, Ramana Maharshi, whose chart we have already discussed. So let's get into it. I made some observations about Ramakrishna Paramahansa. So Ramakrishna Paramahansa is a great mystic, one of the greatest mystics from Bengal. So if you have not read Ramakrishna Paramahansa, you've not touched modern Indian spirituality because I don't know, Ramakrishna Paramahansa is so big, such a massive figure as far as Indian spirituality in the modern context is concerned. And he has a great mission also, which followed from Swami Vivekananda, who was one of his greatest disciples, greatest students, right? So let's talk a little bit about Ramakrishna Paramahansa's chart. What is Paramhans? Paramhans is not a surname. Paramhans is someone who is the utmost, Hans means swan. So someone who's in the utmost glory. Paramhans. Okay. Now let's look at the chart quickly. So we know that any chart you're going to decode, we know that sun is the soul, moon is the mind or emotions, we can say, and of course, Lagna is the body. Lagna is the personality that we see outside. Broadly, we can say this. So, we see for Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Sun, Moon, and Aquarius. And Ascendant are all Aquarius. Sun, Moon, Lagna, Surya, Chandra, Lagna. Surya Lagna, Chandra Lagna, and Janma Lagna are all Aquarius. And what is Aquarius? Aquarius is a very important sign. It's the sign for lifting up humanity. So how did Ramakrishna Paramahansa lift up humanity? First through his sadhana, through his teaching, and then he gave the biggest gift to India and the world, Swami Vivekananda, who took Indian spirituality to the USA. This is how Ramakrishna Paramahansa lifted the world, raised the consciousness of the world by giving such a great illumined soul to the world. Because even the Swami Vivekananda is considered as a Vibhuti avatar, an avatar of Lord Shiva which comes and goes very fast. So he went before the age of 40. But he was brought into the world, and that initial, like John the Baptist kind of thing, where you bring them into the world, that introduction was done by Ramakrishna Paramahansa, and he was the guru, not just an introduction. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about Aquarius sign. So many planets in Aquarius. Aquarius is also a sign for philosophy, innovation, being different. So Ramakrishna Paramahansa was very unique. He was a temple priest, but he did things in his own way, as per his own feeling, as per his own intuition and devotion. So he was scolded once. They went and complained because he used to work for a queen. They went and complained to that this guy, he eats the prasadam before the food offered to the gods. He eats it before offering to the gods or before the puja is over. And then the queen summons him and asks him, why do you do this? But the queen knew that he has something, divine in him. So he said that I do it as she's my mother. He considered Kali as his mother. And we'll see why Kali comes into the picture. Kali is my mother, and with my mother, I can eat before, she can eat after, she can eat before, I can eat after. What kind of formality do I need to have with my mother? Can you imagine? Okay, this kind of priest he was. And we see very importantly that Jupiter is aspecting all these planets in Aquarius. So Jupiter is aspecting this entire Aquarius bunch of planets, Sun, Uranus, Mercury, Moon. Uranus is again the planet of unconventional stuff. It is with Surya, it is with Chandra, it is with Sun and Moon, it is in the Lagna. So definitely it is going to impact him in a way to make him unconventional. It will make him an unconventional personality, slightly crazy, slightly eccentric, right? And that was seen. He would go into trance, it would go into different kinds of states, which was the spiritual part, but also his way of communication, way of instruction, everything was very different from others. And all these planets are also aspecting the sign of Leo, the seventh house. So his association with people is the seventh house. So association with people also was very strong. He was a very strong, big teacher, uh, though he was very humble and all that. Now see, the Lagna ruler Saturn is in the ninth house. Ninth is the house of knowledge, house of Guru, aspected by Jupiter. So Lagna Lord and the Lagna planets all aspected by Jupiter. This is one of the key features. Dr. B.V. Raman, who is the, I don't know if he's a doctor, but he is B.V. Raman, one of the greatest astrologers. He said this is the key feature which helped him to gain this association of the guru and attain to spiritual knowledge. He also goes to say that this chart does not exactly show a parivraja yoga. Parivraja yoga is the yoga for people who will become sannyasis, who will become traveling sannyasis, and who will also have this enlightenment thing, moksha related yoga. So he says, according to B.V. Raman, there's no Mahapurusha yoga here. But the 12th Lord Saturn is aspected by Jupiter. We can see that 12th is the Lord of Moksha, and Mars is exalted in the 12th house. Neptune is there in the 12th house. So that means the experiences will be very intense and very psychic. So you used to see visions, you used to see lots of things, like he said, I don't want to touch money. And the thing with money is that once somebody kept some money under his pillow or somewhere, and immediately entered the room, he started feeling uneasy. He said, money is there, kept somewhere. And people were saying that nowhere, they started searching nowhere there's money. He said, it is there. And then they finally found it. A lot of things like this, a lot of experiences, psychic experiences. So Neptune is connected with these slightly, dramatic and visual psychic experiences. But anyway, so 12 Lord aspected by Jupiter, definitely we can see it's in the ninth house. Saturn is exalted. 12 Lord is exalted, aspected by benefic Jupiter. So this is all very good for the things related to enlightenment, moksha. Moksha is very much written in this chart as per B.V. Raman. Now, also let's see, Venus is exalted. We also see Mars is exalted. So exalted planet Mars sitting in the exalted planet Mars sitting in the 12th house, the house of enlightenment, moksha. 10th ruler, third ruler. Yeah. So that authority he gets in his subject. Right. So these are the combinations which are very important. Now let's look at some events. So one event is 1859, he got married. Let's see, I can tell you why he got married based on this chart. So we can see here, number 5, Leo is the ruler of the house of marriage. Sun is the, Leo is the sign in the house of marriage. Sun is the ruler of the house of marriage. It is sitting with Uranus. What does it say? Unconventional marriage. So he did not, his marriage was, it was well known, because they were living with people. It is well known that he did not have any physical relationship with his partner, with his wife. That is what is widely said. And in any case, it was very unconventional. It was very different because she was like a spiritual disciple. She was like a student. And he also worshipped her like a goddess. He saw the goddess in her and he worshipped her. How many men and how many women are ready to worship their partners? Women still, maybe in India, they say Pati Dev and all that. So they may worship. But men, how many men can worship, do the puja of the woman? And that is also has a tantric aspect to that because he had tantric gurus, he had Advaitic gurus. And I'll tell you why the spiritual paths, different spiritual paths also came into his life. So Uranus, being with Uranus, 7th house, unconventional union, happened in 1859. So what happened in 1859? Let's check quickly. 1859, we have to go back by many years. So I told you that Saturn is one of his best planets. Saturn Dasha was going on when he got married. He must have been around 23 years old, which at that time was quite a late age to get married because people would get married, I think, quite early. Or maybe it was the right age. I'm not sure what it was in Bengal at that time. So Saturn Sun period, 1859 to 1860, that's when he got married. Sun is the ruler of marriage, seventh house. Correct? Okay. So that is what we can see. Sun is also in the second house, in the Navamsha, all that we can see. Now let's talk a little bit about uh, the ruler of marriage is activated. So he got married during that period. So marriage is seen and it's an unconventional union, spiritual union. Okay. Uranus need not show that it's spiritual, but it's aspected by Jupiter. So it won't go crazy Uranus. It will be a different but spiritual Uranus experience. Spiritually unconventional but spiritual. Jupiter's aspect. Saturn is also in trine. So this makes that combination behave. This makes Uranus behave because the divinity is there. Okay. So think about this. Think about why they did not get into a physical union and what was their spiritual connection in the relationship. Because that will go back to the primary teaching of Ramakrishna Paramahansa, which is Kamini Kanchan. Kamini Kanchan. Kamini is money and Kamini Kanchan is money and gold. Money and women, gold and women, which means the desire of sex and the desire for money, for possessions, holds you back on your spiritual journey. So this is what he used to teach. You can check out my videos about Kamini Kanchan. I've done some work on that on 2 videos, so you can watch those also if you like. Okay. Now, what gave him the spiritual path of Advaita, Tantra, Devi worship? How to check someone's spiritual path? This is very important. Someone's spiritual path. They may think, they like so and so guru, then that is why they follow a certain spiritual path. But eventually, they will follow the spiritual path which is shown in the astrology chart. It's not like you just have one thing throughout your life. You evolve. So in case of Ramakrishna Paramahansa, we see that Lagna is aspected by Jupiter, aspected by Mercury, which is conjunct with Mercury. Sun is the same story. Jupiter, Mercury aspect is there. And Moon also same story, Jupiter, Mercury. Lagna Lord again, aspect of Jupiter on Lagna Lord, which is Saturn. So what I am trying to say is that Jupiter gives you the path of Bhakti, Guru Bhakti, learning from teachers, learning from deities, worshipping deities. So Jupiter aspect on Lagna, Sun, Moon, and the Lagna Lord. Mercury gives you the path of knowledge, Jnana, Jnana Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Jnana Yoga, whatever you want to call it. So Mercury is aspecting his Lagna, Mercury is aspecting his Surya, Mercury is aspecting his Chandra. It is conjunct, right? So we can say safely that he will be into Advaita / Jnana and also Bhakti. These will be his paths. And Tantra is, I think, it's also Saturnian in some way, but his Saturn is very well placed. So Saturn well placed can give meditation and sadhana. But his primary path was, as we all know, it is Advaita and Bhakti. Of course, all these paths are related to each other. So Advaita and Bhakti doesn't mean the person will not meditate. The goal is the same eventually. So he will meditate. He went into Nirvikalpa Samadhi somewhere, I'll tell you the date, Nirvikalpa Samadhi somewhere in 1865. 1865 is when he went into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And we can see 1865 he was in Saturn Jupiter period. Look at the dasha. 1865 to 1868, Saturn Jupiter period. Jupiter guidance of Guru, Jupiter blessings. And if you notice, Jupiter retrograde, Jupiter is retrograde, Saturn is retrograde. We can notice this. Okay. Jupiter is retrograde, Saturn is retrograde. Then our friend Mercury is also retrograde. All the planets are retrograde, which means this is coming from past life. This connection is from past life. Right? And we can go on interpreting this. Like, for example, fifth house is the house of mantras and spiritual discourse. He was heavily into mantras and spiritual discourse. Because Jupiter is in the fifth house, the house of mantras and spiritual discourse. Jupiter is in the house of Purva Punya, fifth house. Jupiter, planet of luck in Purva Punya. So you already got this Purva Punya, fifth house with Jupiter's blessings. Right? So you already had this Purva Punya. So all the stuff we can see in his chart. Okay. Now let's quickly contrast this with the chart of Ramana Maharshi. We on the same screen, Ramana Maharshi. Okay. So this is Ramana Maharshi's chart. Now in Ramana Maharshi's chart, we don't see that, extreme seed combination of 4 planets in one house. We don't see that. So we have to hunt a little bit for the main combinations, which we have done in one of the previous videos. And clearly we can see that the moon, let me show you moon. Moon is conjunct with Ketu, aspected by Sun and Jupiter. So Ramana Maharshi's moon is also aspected by Jupiter. Right? Moon is aspected by Jupiter. Moon is opposite Sun. So in Ramana Maharshi's chart, we see a full moon, Sun opposite moon. In Ramakrishna Paramahansa, we see Sun with moon, Amavasya. So try to note these combinations also. Full moon, Amavasya, things like that. Mars is in its own sign. We don't see exalted planets. We see impact of Saturn more, where Ramana Maharshi's chart. See, Saturn is aspecting the Lagna. Saturn is aspecting Surya. So that extreme Vairagya. Ramana Maharshi didn't want to teach also. He didn't want to dress up and teach people. Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Jupiter impact. He had the desire to teach. But he was also a Vairagi, of course. But he also got married, right? He was not a sannyasi. Ramana Maharshi was also not a sannyasi, but he was, I think, super sannyasi. Because he was beyond, this thing. And then he also had this interesting yoga where the 12th Lord Sun is with Rahu. There was also an eclipse going on around at the time of Ramana Maharshi. So you were at another level of Vairagya. And Ramakrishna Paramahansa played more in the world. He even gave a disciple, like a child, he gave this disciple called Swami Vivekananda to the world as a gift. But Ramana Maharshi didn't bother to do that. He gave something which is beyond words, beyond form. And both of them, I think the way they have contributed to modern Indian spirituality, if these two figures you remove, what do you have in modern Indian spirituality? Right? Like this is for, you have people like Osho. Osho also, we saw that a lot of planets are in one house. That is a different story. But Osho, we have J. Krishnamurti, these are modern people. But before them, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Ramana Maharshi came and they created the soil. If Swami Vivekananda didn't go to the US, maybe things would have been very different. Right? So where would the acceptance of Osho, J. Krishnamurti come? So they laid the foundation, they laid the soil. So I think we'll look at Ramana Maharshi's chart also in detail. We have already seen, we'll look at it more in the days to come. And it's interesting. You can leave your comments, like, share, subscribe, share with your friends who are spiritual so that they can understand how astrology works to decode and see our destiny. All the best, friends. Cheers.